Here at Horror Realm, the Horror Happens radio show, Homegrown Radio, a Sunday morning bursting with a lot of energy, a lot of conversation. Fred, Mr. ToeTag himself, a man who, when we echo your sentiments and your words, your reputation follows with you, both good and bad. And this is just as a Friday at Monster Mania, talking with fans who knew I was coming here and hopefully getting a chance to talk with you. Talk about the progression of ToeTag and how it's grown so much, expanding to the left coast, different areas with distribution, effects. How and why is ToeTag so successful, Fred?
I believe the success of ToeTag has come from the fans and, us giving the fans what they want, and that is really great underground horror movies. We take a lot of pride in our shipping, our production, and giving people content that they normally don't get.
With that being said, content that they don't get, I see films like Rot, The Turnpike Killer, just a couple that I'm familiar with, based on having, Evan Macrogiannis, Brian Weaver, Marcus Cook. Thank you, by the way, yesterday. Ellie Church, Jason Hignite, a lot of different people on the show. Talk a little bit about what goes into becoming a ToeTag film, because it seems like almost a very exclusive club to be on this level in cult cinema like it is.
Well, when we were making underground, when I first started making movies in 2001, nobody was really making these super violent, extreme kind of movies. And it spawned this next generation of filmmakers, like, the Turnpike Killer, the films like Turnpike Killer and things like that. So it's nice to see that it's trickled and spread, and the seeds have been planted, and filmmakers got inspired, and to me that means a lot.
I was going to say, for you, the fans, you mean a lot to the fans. Everything from your realistic effects, and you can go any number of different directions with that, all the way to the films that you put out and filmmakers you give a chance for. Talk a little bit about some of your newer projects that you have decided to distribute and people that you've worked with along the way.
Our first film that we distributed was Keith Voigt Jr.'s 2 short films, Army and Lust. And from there, we jumped in with Adam Albrandt and did his movie, The Crossbearer.
Yeah.
And, people were like, when we first put out Army and Lust, it's not like these super gory films when people expect from, expect from ToeTag. I believed in Keith as a filmmaker. And, it's about quality filmmaking. And, I saw the potential in Keith. I know he was, I was that young guy at one time making movies, and nobody ever gave me a chance. I wanted to be able to give Keith a chance. And with Adam's film, I saw a really great film that didn't have the chance to get the exposure that he needed. And we kind of came in and want to use the ToeTag banner to help push his movie, to get it out to more people, because it's a really great movie. And that's really what ToeTag wants to do, is we want to hone in and grab some great underground films and put them out using the help of the ToeTag name behind it, because ToeTag has a really great fan base, and our fans support the movies that we dig. So as long as we dig some great movies, the fans will support those other filmmakers who make those movies.
I'm here with Fred Vogel, ToeTag at Horror Realm, here in the Horror Happens radio show. In between sips of coffee, and I was just doing that myself, Fred. You look at the people who you work with, and I know on the show, without the ghost, I don't know where I'd be. And I miss her right now. I wish you were here with the show. But you have Shelby, you have Keith, you have a whole slew of people, including Jason with Jab Pictures. Talk a little bit about the people and your support team that comes in and really makes this machine roll.
Well, ToeTag is myself, Shelby Vogel, and Jeremy Cruz. And, we are the founding members of ToeTag, and without those guys, I wouldn't be the filmmaker that I am. It's like you mix all the catalysts together and you get ToeTag, and you get the ToeTag pictures. Yeah. But getting to work with guys like Jason and Keith and Adam and Natalie and all the other great filmmakers that we're trying, that we're working with, Jason Cook. And, there's just so many great people out there. And as much as they say that I've influenced them, they influence me to just keep working my ass off and putting out great product, and that's really what it's about. And it's about just spreading the sickness.
I love it. I hear that all the time from Adam, spreading the sickness, and it's really an infection that's come across the indie genre when it comes to really grisly horror. You look at the way that things are now with the con circuit, and you're big here, Horror Realm, Cinema Wasteland, those kind of shows that you see that still, and I don't know how you feel about this, my personal opinion, a lot of these independent films are kind of pushed off, not in the main focus of the conventions. And I understand you have guests, fans are coming in, but also fans are coming in, especially in Pittsburgh, to see the work that you put out and that you distribute. Without too much behind it, how do you feel about the convention circuit with indie films and how they're portrayed?
I mean, without the convention circuit, ToeTag wouldn't be as big as it is. Like, I started out selling movies out of a backpack at Cinema Wasteland.
Nice.
I would show movies in hotel rooms. I'd bring a VCR in the movies, and we would show the movies and turn people on that way. The conventions were a way for me to get my movies out there, to sell myself, to sell my movies. I think it's important that sometimes you have to do that legwork, and you have to go out there and you have to push yourself, your company, your films, your art, everything. And the convention circuit's a really great way to do that. I met a lot of great people on the way.
Yeah.
And, it has become a family, part of the circus. I've been doing this for, 13 years more, so we need it because it's a great, because people who still want to buy a physical copy, they come to us, they want to experience something new. If they're film fans and they want to see something different, they'll look at the table and be like, ooh, what's this movie here? Or, tell me a little bit about this one. And if I can turn somebody on to something that's not mainstream, and they can see something that's a little bit more progressive, a little bit more interesting, that's what I'd rather have them do. Now, when it comes to my films being so rough, I've turned people down if they wanted it. If I thought it's not for them, it's not worth me selling to them. I'll ask them, what's the most extreme movie you've ever seen? If you're like Critters, then, I'm not selling you August Underground, I'm sorry. It's not worth, the $10 or $5 to what we're selling it here for, you know what I mean? It's just not worth it to me. I'd rather people that want to take that test themselves, go the distance and, see, what their level is of horror.
It's interesting you say that, Fred, because, when you see a lot of ToeTag products and a lot of people talking, I think the first impression is it's very extreme, very powerful, very independent, but to have a sensitivity to the fans like that sounds like a businessman to me. And for you, in the years you've been doing this now, how much have you matured and learned as a businessman, going beyond the filmmaker of independent films, but more of a brand?
Well, since day one, ToeTag has been about a brand. I've been heavily influenced by Vince McMahon and Gene Simmons. But it was all about marketing. The name ToeTag. I wanted a horror company that people would remember.
Yeah.
When I handed them my business card, it's a ToeTag. I knew that if I can keep the look, the style, and at the time when ToeTag first started, we had, Christy Wiles that was doing amazing artwork and gave ToeTag a look, and, we kind of went with that through the years and have evolved, and, I think right now we're at our best we've ever been. But it's all about, it's all about marketing. It's all about business. We all want to make money.
Yeah.
And as an artist, I don't want to give away the farm. But today, this weekend here, I can give my August Underground movies away for $5 because I want people to see it. For a movie like the August Underground trilogy to be selling, a decade later, still people care about it is really amazing to me. And if I can give back to them, movies cheaper or, a way that they can experience my stuff, easier, I'll do it.
I was going to say, I have to pick up the August Underground because it's funny you talk about that because films like that really are a brand. They're a staple of the independent. When I was booking for Extreme and Exploitation on the show, I brought in a lot of different names, including Marcus Cook, including Adam Albrand, Mike O'Mahony, those kind of newer names.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not taking anything away from some of the legends, and a legend is interpretation of whoever is a fan of it. But when you look at some of the newer names, they're kind of lost in the sea of big budget crap. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the classic names which people have built their careers and their fandom on. Talk a little bit about these independent filmmakers and, as they grow and they get better and they get more exposure, why haven't they reached the level that they can with their projects?
I believe that a lot of the modern filmmakers right now are having a hard time because either they're pumping out too much product too fast, and it's not giving your movie to marinate and to resonate with the fans. Since ToeTag started in 2002, and us releasing movies since 2002, we don't rush anything. It's never like, all right, we made a movie, let's go right to the next one, let's go right to the next one. We have to take our time. We have to make sure the movie's 100% perfect. I think nowadays it's let's get it out to the fans real fast, and let's do small limited runs, let's do things like that, where I believe I have that old school mentality of make a great product first. If you make a great movie, it'll find its audience, and you have nothing to worry about. But you never know what's going to stick. You know what I mean? You make 10 movies, you throw all them at the wall, 2 stick, you're really fucking lucky.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate that my films have stuck, and I know that there's filmmakers out there today that have the talent, and their movies will catch on. It just takes time, and my advice to them is just really put all you can put into your work. Don't compromise your film because I need to make it an hour and 20 minutes. If it doesn't need to be an hour and 20 minutes, don't make it that. Trim the fat, make it the best movie you can make, because when it all comes down to the end of the day, is it a good movie or is it a bad movie?
With that being said, and being very busy people, and I for me this weekend, coming from Monster Mania to here, trying to get everyone collected for these conversations, making mistakes along the way, including a mistake I just made outside with the name. How do you keep yourself straight with all the entities you got going on now on 2 coasts and the success of the brand that is ToeTag?
Wow.
Do you have a Kiss My Ass Club? You're talking about Vince McMahon. Do you have a Kiss My Ass Club?
No.
Is that one of the way?
No. Again, it's all about the package. It's all about the great movies, great customer service, great fan relation, great personal experiences with my fans and with my friends as filmmakers and stuff like that. I'm an approachable guy. If somebody comes up to me and asks me how to make their effects better, I'll tell them how to make their effects better. I want guys making great horror movies. I don't want shit out there, because when there's so much shit, a great movie can get lost in all the shit. And when people think of underground movies and stuff like that, a lot of people think it's low rent B crap. And when I look at my films, I never say that they're people, these B movies. I'm like, no, they're underground movies. There's nothing low rent about them. Granted their budgets are small, but the talent behind the movies is worth more than millions and millions of dollars.
Closing it out here, and Fred, I thank you so much for the time this morning. You look at it now with ToeTag, and you look at this area and the fans, and Cinema Wasteland is a cult show. It's a classic show. Horror Realm is a family-styled show. It's a growing show. Yeah. This kind of area, though, also has a horror hound show. So it has every kind of branch of horror for festival. The fans, though, across the board love it. Talk a little bit about this area of Pittsburgh and the surrounding areas with it and shows like this, and why are these fans so important to the lifeblood of horror, no matter what style or genre it is? It's great. The East Coast is totally different than the West Coast when it comes to shows, even out to the Midwest. I feel that the fans from the East Coast into the Midwest are probably the most diehard fans when it comes to horror. They come out in droves. If there's conventions every weekend nowadays, everybody's trying to cash in on these conventions and stuff like that. And the fans come out, and the fans are working blue-collar people that, work their ass off all week long to go buy that movie. And, it's awesome that you can come to Pittsburgh, you can go to Strongsville, Ohio, you can go to Indianapolis, Indiana, you can go to Chicago, all the way down to Atlanta. I mean, and there's these amazing conventions going on, and, horror is just getting more, it's not, I'm not going to say acceptable, but with shows like The Walking Dead and Dexter and things like that, it's just, it's made it a little bit more broad.
And granted, it might be a tougher sell for us underground guys when they're walking up to our table and asking if I have any Walking Dead stuff, and it's like, no, I don't.
I have things that are better.
Yeah. You want to see something different? Like,
Exactly.
That's really what it's about. Like, just you want to see something different? Like, that's why I try to pick up so many different films from the underground, from puppet movies to raunchy horror kind of things like Beelzebub's films to, Massacre Videos films. I try to pick up a little bit of everything just to kind of cover the board and show the spectrum of the underground scene. And with these amazing shows that are going on in the East Coast, the West Coast, all over the place, it's a great outlet.
Actually, something that spawned off of what you just said, you see the variety of it. The foreign market, and I believe now we see a lot of great horror, great grisly horror, underground stuff from France. You see it from the Asian markets.
Mm-hmm.
One that comes to mind is The Butcher, which is on Palisades Third, and that's, if there's ever a film that looks like it's first-person stuff, that's a film that I see with it. Talk a little bit about the foreign markets, and is ToeTag tapping into that market, or is that in the plans, or is it something that you want to keep more stateside and showcase the artists and filmmakers that are here?
Well, ToeTag has definitely been, ToeTag is worldwide. We sell our movies everywhere. I know our fan base in Europe is just as rabid as our fan base here in the States. And sometimes I think even more because it's harder to get.
Yeah.
It's the risk when somebody in the UK is ordering something, there's that, oh shit, what's going to happen? Like, I remember when I got my first letter from a guy in Australia that had his house raided because he bought, the August Underground movies.
Wow.
And, I was ready to go defend. And, like, I told Shelby, I'm like, let's go to fucking Australia. Let's, this guy's not going to jail for this stuff. Like, it's a movie. It's a movie. Here in the States with our rights and things like that, every country has different laws. And, I was arrested in Canada for these movies because of the obscenity laws. I got great letters from, like, the Prime Minister of New Zealand banning my films.
You have a whole collection?
But it's not even stuff that I'm, like, proud of. It's kind of like, I don't even know where it is. It's, like, in a drawer somewhere, you know what I mean? Or it's holding up the table or something. I don't know. But, to me, I just want to get the movies out to the people, and, like, we have, like, a great fan base overseas, man. I've sold movies to India, to South America, to Africa, to our soldiers fighting, you know what I mean? Like, to the bases. Sold them everywhere.
Wow. And the effects themselves, super realistic,
Yeah.
and effects that really have set the bar on the projects that you've worked on. You can go to, the website is ToeTag.biz, correct?
ToeTag.biz.
You can go there and see a wide variety of galleries of photo work that you've done, that the minds behind ToeTag have done. Real quick, closing it out, and I promise this is the end with it. The realism of the photography, or the realism of the effects for these films. Talk a little bit about that and the effect they have on people and how they've really set kind of the market for indie horror.
Well, Jeremy Cruz is the head of ToeTag Effects, and he's the mastermind behind every drop of blood that happens in my films. It was a style that, like, when I made August Underground, I needed these effects to look 100% real. And it was all problem solving on how we can pull off an effect in a 10-minute take without doing, camera cuts and editing like that. It was like, how can we really problem solve and pull off the effect in one shot? And we took that style and just did it even better and better every movie, and that's become our trademark is trying to figure out how we can pull off an effect without a camera cut to make the violence look 100% real.
Wow.
And Jeremy Cruz is, bar none, the most amazing, talented effects artist there is. When it comes to killing people, there's nothing else like Jeremy Cruz.
I like that. It's a great way to end. And by the way, love the Garbage Pail Kids.
Thank you.
The 80s obviously is a big influence in independent horror cinema decades later, and you know what? Nothing but appreciation for what you do and what you do. Fred Vogel, thank you so much. Where else can they find more about ToeTag?
Of course, you can find ToeTag on the internet with www.toetag.biz. You can go to our Facebook page, our Twitter, and Instagram, and we're out there. We're in the social media,
Anti-social and social at the same time. I love it. I love it. Fred Vogel, thanks so much. Let's get some of that August Underground going here from Horror Realm, the Horror Happens radio show, Homegrown Radio.